Changing the Opal lever is not difficult. We're going to walk you through it. For time, I have already taken out the screws. Do take note that the little screw is what goes under your battery due to it being closer to the top of the body. Other than that, all the screws are the same size. On the Opal and any sapphire or Heiniger clipper that has the enclosed blade support, that like this, you will have to take it off in order to change your lever out, simply because once we open this up, your lever is actually underneath there. So this is what's called your blade tap, the rubber tap. It sits over the top of your lever. This blade support was like this. So this is the top of your blade support. In order to change this lever out and you have this type of blade support, you will have to just take that off of there. It can all stay in one piece. You can just set it to the side until you're going back to putting it together. Once you get to this part, it's very easy to take your lever out and change it. You're simply just going to pick up on the old lever. You may have to jiggle it a little because you have to get it off of this post. You will need to re-grease your lever. For time's sake, I'm actually just going to show you how to re-grease it as if there was no grease in it because it was a brand new one. Some of the new ones you buy may not come with the grease in it, so we definitely recommend keeping grease. Grease is always good to have on hand as well. You never know when you may need to grease your equipment. So it does not take a whole lot of grease. You're just going to grease the parts that spin. So inside this lever, you're going to grease the part that spins around here. You're going to grease in here. Then in the part that is on that post, because as it moves, it is going to be going on that post. That is all you need to grease on this Opal lever. The other portion that you may at some point need to change are your foam seal and your rubber tap. If these seals or your tap are ever torn, have a lot of hair and things caked up in them, you're going to need to change those out as well. Those are purchasable parts. The reinstallation of this lever, you're simply going to do the same thing. You're going to set it on the post and push down. Make sure your lever foam goes down into the little grooves where it sits. It's perfect size for it. Once you get that on, your rubber tap sits on top of your lever. You want to make sure that this flat top is always facing up, never like this. When it's facing downward, it's actually working against your lever. So you want to make sure that it's facing upward. Once you have your lever installed, your foam and your lever tap back in there, you can take your top and place it back over. Now, when you get to here, you have some options. You can either go ahead and reattach your hinge immediately, or you can put your screws back into your body to ensure that your body stays together while you put your blade support hinge back on. I like to start with the body screws, so I will go through and put my body screws back on. That way I know I'm not going to drop the clipper. My clipper is going to stay together. That way it's being held. Now, I'm only going to put one for time on here, and then I'm going to show you how to put that blade support back on there. Just to hold my body together, because as I said, I know I am terrible about dropping things, especially when there's dogs running around your feet and everything else. So I have my screws in. Now your blade support, you're going to put the top, if you have one like this. There are some that do not have this top bar, but if you are using one with this top bar, it has to go over your lever first and then set down into the grooves where it is shown to sit. Always ensure before you put your screws back in, put your thumb over it and just push up on your latch. Make sure that that latch is still movable. If it is not movable, you need to readjust and make sure your hinge is still in working order. We will do videos later on as further for the hinge if you need to know about those. But for this video, you're going to put your screws back into your hinge. And I'm going to go all the way through putting these screws into the hinge to make one more tip once you get your hinge back on, because sometimes it is, some may not be as mechanically inclined, or they may just not know. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. Once you get your hinge back on, your blade support is closed. You need to open this back up for your blade to be able to work on this hinge. The easiest way is to push your latch up so it's out of the way. Take any kind of flathead or flat object and just pry up underneath it. It will pop up. That is where you set your blade. So if you have any issues or something just does not look right, go back through the steps, make sure your hinge is working properly. When you close that hinge, this should have tension behind it. It's like a push button. If your tension is gone, you may either have a broken hinge or it may just not be applied properly. So always go back and check those things before you kind of panic like I do and you're thinking your equipment doesn't work. Because anytime we take off a piece, we need to make sure it goes back on properly. I hope you enjoyed that tip. Be sure to reach out to petstore.direct for any of your sharpening and servicing needs. We are always here to help.